There's nothing quite like a thick mix of steamy scenes and nail-biting suspense to get your cheeks blushing, your blood pumping, your body rippling waves of whew. I'm telling you, it gets hot. I'm sweating just thinking about it. So how can you write a romance story that will grip viewers right where it counts? And I mean grip. It starts by dissecting your characters and by dissecting your story. And this video of romance questions, 88 to be exact, is the perfect place to begin. This video was requested by Anya, who is in the throes of romance novel world building. Thank you, Anya, for your request. And since this video centers upon reciprocal love, at least we're hoping so, right? My channel goal this month is for 2 new members to join the community. Just 2. It takes 2. If you have ever found these videos helpful, well, you can access all uploads early and you get exclusive videos. Because Keith, Sarah, and Jake joined last month, I was able to get a green screen. So thank you very much for your support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now let's get juicy. If you want to apply these questions to yourself, acting as your own main character, which you are, they can be repurposed for that as well. But please note, there are some very specific questions related to story the deeper that we get. So just keep that in mind. Maybe birth a romance story of your own here. I support that notion. So with no further ado, I'm ready to write your answers down with the keys. And let's start at the surface, shall we? Who are the main characters? What point of view is the story being told from? What is the prevailing mood or tone of the whole story? Where are we first introduced to your main characters? The year, the season, the month, the day of the week, the time of day. And keep in mind that we can meet them both at different places. We don't need to meet them in the same setting at the same time. Year, season, month, time of day. Great. Where are they coming from just before we meet them for the first time? What is the context of their lives when we first meet them? Basically, are there any major events that shaped them or are weighing on them? What do your characters want, both internally and externally, when we first meet them? What do your characters need on a mental, emotional, and subconscious level? On a mental level, what do they need? And on an emotional level? And on a subconscious level, what do they need? What makes us intrigued by them? What is their magic? What is their mystery? And how do you show it? Quite a loaded question. What makes us intrigued? How are they intriguing? What's their magic? I like it. What is their mystery? How do you show that? What makes them interesting to read about or watch? I have a few ideas based off of your last response, but let's elaborate a little bit. What do we find in their story that makes them relevant? How do we feel about them? Do we admire them, laugh at them, pity them? Do they amuse us? Now, to delve even deeper into the minds of your main characters, I want you to act as the character as you answer these questions. This is so you can thoroughly know your characters inside and out. Whether they're having a passionate romp or a long-term romance, you want to know the motivational forces behind your characters. This lets you make them believable and dynamic. People are much more likely to get lost in a romance that feels unique and one that could only occur between very specific characters. It can also come across as fluff if your character has no depth, or if the reader or viewer is unable to find the trailing thread behind their impulses and actions. Remember, their character makeup, meaning their histories, thoughts, actions, even their appearances, all hint at their intimacy with someone else. What are you looking for in love or romance? Describe your first intimate experience. How many people have you been intimate with? How many previous relationships have you had? What were your previous relationships like? What do you feel was missing from your previous relationships? What turns you on? Who or what was the first thing you ever desired? Can you describe how desire feels? Where does it manifest in the body? Is your desire practical, strategic, spontaneous, responsive, or contextual? Strategic, spontaneous, responsive, practical, contextual. Strategic, spontaneous, practical, responsive, contextual. It can be more than one, yeah. Which of your five senses is the strongest? And how does this influence your perception of things? What do you perceive as being romantic? How often are you consumed by romantic notions? Which personality traits are you most attracted to? What is your attachment style? What is your love language? Are you a flirt? How do you flirt? How would you demonstrate that you're into someone else? How can you tell when someone is interested in you? Are you confident in your skin? If you are, or if you're not, how does this come across physically? What are you most self-conscious about when it comes to intimacy? What type of person makes you feel most safe and secure? Are you looking for someone else to fulfill you? What type of relationships were modeled for you when you were a child? What do you value experiencing most in this life? And now, let's pivot away from focusing on one character and hone in on the dynamic between two. How do your characters first meet? How do they perceive each other at first? Perception is one thing, but how do they feel about each other at first? What, if anything, prevents them from being together? And remember, tension is great for story. In what ways are they compatible? In what ways are they incompatible? What are the main events that happen between them? Where do these main events take place? How can locals add to specific scenes to make them more dramatic or complicated for the characters? Where, how, and when do they first get intimate? And how can you use your five senses to describe this? How do you showcase the emotional connection between the characters during the moments that they get intimate? What is the brightest moment they will experience together? What is the worst thing that could happen to them? What are their main obstacles? And how can you make them even more insurmountable? What are their greatest temptations? How can you make them more irresistible? And how can you put more at stake? Greatest temptations. And how can you make those more irresistible? How can you put more at stake? What is their greatest threat? Are they able to get what they crave? Can they live at peace with themselves if they are unable to get what they so passionately want? What can act as a catalyst to alter or exacerbate the reactions of the main characters? What thoughts, emotions, decisions, and conclusions result from any setbacks or complications? I'll let you mull that one over. It's a pretty loaded one. No need to respond now. Which emotions do any obstacles or injustices evoke in us, the viewer or the reader? What dangers become visible to us, the viewer or the reader, but not to the main characters? As the viewer or the reader, what expectations do we have? What do we hope for? What do we wish the characters would do? And why can't they just do it? What do we grow to impatiently expect? What don't we realize will happen when the moment comes? How do we get caught off guard? Plot twist. Is there a deadline for action to happen between them? And can there be? Can any obstacles be solved on peaceful and friendly terms, or what impairs it? What does their tryst or relationship reveal to them about themselves? How do the characters grow and develop from their experiences together? How should we feel when the story ends? This was an excellent starting point to begin romance novel world building, outlining and defining and plotting which areas to really hone in on. I mean, there are so many to consider. The kissing scenes, the transitions through different levels of affection, the playful dislike that turns to love, even turning the romantic main plot into a subplot. It is endless. There are so many opportunities to enhance and evolve romance. If this was helpful for you, please let me know. And perhaps a more specialized video on romance building will be in store for the future. I'm Floons, and I wish you endless, euphoric love for eternity.